Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, we back with another video, y'all. We back. We back. Thank you so much once again for tapping back into the channel for another video, right? That's what we're here for. So we got us a good one that we're going to be talking about today. Today, we're going to talk about the matchup between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn that's supposed to go down this weekend. And you know, if we're going to talk about that matchup, we got to talk about the dads. We got to talk about the wars that the dads had in the 90s. So we're definitely going to make sure we dive into all that good stuff. But before we do that, we got some business that we got to take care of. We're powered by our good friends at DNS Cleaning. So if you're in the Hampton Roads, Virginia area and you need cleaners, those are the people that you want to tap in with. So feel free to reach out to me. I can get you all the information that you need. Or if you want to reach out to them yourself, they are on Facebook. And they are on Instagram as well. The social media is DNS Cleaning Services LLC. And like I said, feel free to reach out to them yourself and they will get you taken care of. Secondly, sponsorship opportunities, y'all. They are available. So feel free to send us an email or send us a message on any one of our social media platforms. And we are always down to talk business. We're always down to talk business, but let's get down to business, y'all. I think we got all the business stuff out of the way. Let's get to the fun. Oh yeah, I've noticed that I got the wrong flag on for this occasion. My fault. It is what it is, but let's dive right into it. So yeah, like we said, we're gonna be looking at Chris Eubank Jr. against Conor Benn. But before we do that, we gotta go back. We gotta go back. We're gonna start in the 90s, y'all. Okay, and the reason why we're doing that, we got to start with the dads, okay? So the first fight between Chris Eubank Sr. and Nigel Benn, the father of Conor Benn, was in 1990, okay? So before we talk about the actual fight, though, the build-up was crazy because the personalities, right? You have Chris Eubank Sr., who's the showman, and then you have Nigel Benn, who's the streets, raised the tough way, as as he would say, raised up the hard way. So when you get those personalities together, they tend to clash, especially in the fight game, right? So those are the personalities that we're dealing with the two guys. And you can tell throughout the press conferences and everything just by listening to both of them talk. And there's actually a clip that's on YouTube. You guys will be able to look it up yourself. They're having the contract signing, the official contract signing for their first fight. Okay, so they're going back and forth, and you can tell like the tension is high, bro. You can feel it through the video, right? So towards the end, as they're signing the contracts, the news guy asked him, "Is this a personal fight?" Chris Eubank Sr. says, "This is not personal for me. I just want the guy's belt." Nigel Benn does not have the same energy. He says, "I personally hate this guy and I cannot wait to give him a good hiding." So that should tell you, like, there was some strong disdain, at least from Nigel Benn's side, for this fight. So these guys went in and they went to war. If you guys look at the highlights, it was really a back and forth battle. When you think one guy got the upper hand, the other guy would come right back and stop the momentum. It was like that the whole fight. That first fight, believe it or not, y'all, was viewed by over 18 million people. Now, I want you guys to think about that for a second. This isn't 2025 I'm talking about. This is 1990 with 18 million people. This is before the internet went crazy. And this is before pay-per-view got as big as it did. So to have 18 million people tune in for a fight in 1990 is crazy. And that tells you how big the fight was. So the fight ended up happening. And the result that we got was Chris Eubank Sr. Actually, and we said it was a lot of action, like we said. But Chris Eubank Sr. ended up getting the TKO win over Nigel Benn. Okay, so that's where we're at. And it's been reported, like, after that first fight, Nigel Benn, obviously that didn't sit well with him. It was a guy that he came right out and said that he hated. He wanted to beat him up, and he ended up losing to him. So that didn't sit well with him. And when you have a fight as good as that fight was, with as much buildup as that fight had, that was watched by as many people as that fight was, one would think a rematch is not too far away, right, in the future, and that there's a good chance that a second fight can happen. And that's what we got, y'all. So the two fathers, Chris Eubank Sr., Nigel Benn, they meet up again in 1993 in another fight, okay? So this fight was a little different, okay? So if you ask a bunch of people, well, not a bunch of people, but if you ask people, right, there's going to be a good number of people that will tell you they believe Nigel Benn should have been awarded the victory in that fight. So that fight was a little closer. So right now we have Team Eubank with one victory, and then we have one fight that's a draw, and then we have Team Benn with 0. But if you ask some people, they're going to say, hey, Team Eubank won, Team Benn with 1. It don't matter how you slice it. Both of those fights were very competitive. They were wars. They were classics. And that rivalry is one of the biggest, if not the biggest rivalry in British boxing history. Not even including the Sons. We're not even putting the Sons in the equation yet. If you just look at Chris Eubank Sr. and Nigel Benn, that in itself is one of the, like I said, if not the biggest rivalry in British boxing history, okay? So now, time goes on, and one last thing I want to add into, there's this clip that's online too. They're part of some type of movie, or they're shooting something, right? So they're in like this gladiator gear. And those two guys are ready to engage in fisticuffs, bare knuckle, right then and there, 10 years after their second fight. So that should tell you, like, there was a lot of disdain and just strong dislike for one another from each guy, you know. And like we said, now time goes on, and now the kids are born and they're in boxing, right? So naturally there's going to be that talk because you have this historic rival, and now they both have boys that are boxing. So what if one day the boys are able to fight? It doesn't happen because there's a big weight difference. Chris Eubank Jr. usually campaigns at 160, 168 pounds. And Conor Benn actually now campaigns at the welterweight weight class, 147 pounds. So there's a big weight difference. And for this fight, Conor Benn is actually going to be moving up to 160 pounds. So let me know in the comment section if you think that weight is going to play a difference in the fight. Let me know what you think about that. But yeah, he's going to be moving up to 160 in the weight class. So the fight has been talked about, but it hasn't really happened, like we said, because of the weight. But you know, as time goes on, as opportunities open up, things change. And now here we are, y'all. Here we are. We have us a fight. We have us a fight between the sons of two legends that had these two wars in the 90s. So a lot of people are looking at this as Benn versus Eubank part 3. Part 3. And this is going to be an absolute war. And as you can imagine, the buildup has been interesting to say the least. Now, as we all know, Conor Benn had that situation where he was suspended for a little while. And with Chris Eubank Jr. being the showman, just like, see, one thing, both of these kids, now we're talking about Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn, they are both just like their dads, okay? Chris Eubank Jr. is the showman, just like his dad is. You can tell he's got that brash, confident. He's just like his dad. Conor Benn is just like his dad in a sense. It looks like that if you say something wrong to him, he'll try to take your head off. So they're both just like their dads. And during the build-up, you can tell by when Chris Eubank Jr. took the egg, slapped it across the face of Conor Benn. Conor Benn was ready to rip his head off, and that was just Chris playing, another mind game with him. And in the very next press conference, Chris Eubank Jr. tells Nigel Benn, hey, I know with the egg situation with me and your son, I know it got heated, but you put your hand around my neck. And if you do that again, you won't get your hand back. Conor chimes in and says, shut your mouth. Don't threaten my dad. So I believe that was just Chris again, poking, you know what I'm saying? Kind of getting in, or at least trying to get in Conor's head. Now, who knows if he did? Who knows if that worked? We'll only be able to tell on fight night. But as we said, the dads had a brawl. The sons are now in line to fight. The build-up has been something else. Like we said, Conor is going to be moving up in weight for this fight. Now, as far as predictions, I see me. The only thing I can really tell you is I believe when the fight starts, I believe that Conor Benn is really going to try to come out and take Chris Eubank Jr.'s head clean off his shoulders. I really think he is for the first couple rounds. So we'll see how things play out in those first couple rounds. But as far as predictions, y'all know what I had to do? I called in some heavy hitters for this one. I called in 2 heavy hitters. All right. So my first heavy hitter, you've seen him on the channel before. We've had an interview with him before. We're going to try to get him back on the channel pretty soon. My man AYUB. My man AYUB is going to give us his prediction on what he thinks about the fight. And before AYUB talks to us, AYUB, thank you so very much for taking the time to shoot the video, to send it to me. Best of luck in the upcoming tournament. You and your family are wonderful. Can't wait to speak to you guys again. Enough of me talking. AYUB, what's the word, my man? Let me know.
My prediction on the Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn fight. Okay, this is going to be an amazing fight, but my predictions are that Eubank will win, but I think it'll go to points. Like, they're both very skillful, but I think that it'll be a very close fight, but Eubank will win on the split decision.
There you go. There you go. Heard from the man himself. All right. So once again, AU, thank you, buddy. Thank you for sending me that. I truly appreciate that. And I will be talking to you again very soon. Now, the second heavy hitter that I had to bring in is my boy AXEL. Now, I'm pretty sure you've seen some of AXEL's fight preview and fight review videos. They are some of the best in the game. If you aren't following AXEL and AYUB, as a matter of fact, be sure to follow both of those guys. They are amazing people. So once again, hey, I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to let my boy AXEL take over. Do your thing, brother. What you got for me, AXEL?
This is the first time in which I've been on this channel. It's the first time in which I've done face kind of camera in a little while, but I thought for your boxing fix, he's come and invited me onto the channel. It's a pleasure to be on here. I thought might as well come and, actually show my face, even though I'm looking a little bit dead with a trim at the moment. Here to give my thoughts on the Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn fight. Just a little brief preview and prediction from myself. So obviously this is arguably the biggest British fight of the year, because realistically, when you look at the heavyweight scene, it seems like AJ is going to be keeping away for quite a while, and so there's not going to be too many other huge British fights. I don't know necessarily where Usyk and Dubois will be, but this one is still, in my opinion, a bigger fight. Domestic kind of wise, it's the first time in which we've had a fight at this kind of level, this amount of viewership since Froch Groves, realistically, because this is such a huge fight. It's a bitter rivalry. The build-up's been excellent. The way that they've been selling it is excellent, and also the fact that it's gone on for so long. There's been so much controversy. We went through multiple times in which, personally, I never thought we'd be seeing this fight. It's great to be seeing it, and I think it is going to make for an entertaining contest. I think that Conor Benn, obviously, we haven't ever kind of realised or been given full evidence as to if he is actually not had anything in his system. I felt like there was something in his system, but he, whenever he gets asked about it, he just says that he's been cleared to fight, which he has, but he's never been actually showcasing us any evidence. So he always kind of seems to avoid that question, or just say that he's been cleared to fight, which is always interesting to see. But of course, like I say, we're seeing him now fight Chris Eubank Jr., and Eubank Jr. has made this build up just as entertaining as well. We've seen the egg be thrown and everything like that. It's been definitely similar type of build-up that we saw with the amount of entertainment that it was when the two dads fought many, many years ago. Obviously, I don't think either of the two sons are as good as the two dads. They're not fighting at that point in their career. I don't necessarily know if Chris Eubank Jr. can ever make it as good as his dad. And, I mean, Conor Benn's kind of yet to prove himself quite at a world level. But this is an excellent fight. It's a fight in which you know, yes, I know Senior's had a lot of problems with it because of the rehydration clause and everything like that involved with it, which I don't blame him because he's been through so much with, you know, travesties in boxing. So I'm not surprised that he's having a few issues with it and isn't wanting to be involved with the fight. Like I say, if something does go badly wrong, then it will be a massive, massive shame. And, you know, we just got to hope that the preparations from Eubank, you know, the whole safety and everything like that is definitely there first. But as a fight, I think, like I say, I think it's two styles in which, you know, just like the personalities are very differing. I think Conor Benn, obviously, he hasn't been getting the stoppages in his more recent fights since moving up in weight and since being, you know, clean. But he's been still fighting well, still coming with the aggression, still looking very explosive, and he's been putting on good performances. Perhaps he has been getting caught still quite a bit. You know, he definitely did get caught when he fought Peter Dobson, so Eubank Jr. could definitely land on him, and I think maybe he might try and outbox him in this fight to Conor Benn. And I don't think that would be a good game plan. I think he should stick to what he does the best, which is, you know, his aggressive front foot type of style. But Eubank Jr. has been looking pretty good in his last couple of performances. Obviously, he beat Liam Smith, in which looked quite weak, looked quite faded in that second fight, and so, you know, Eubank Jr. was still there to capitalise. He utilised his very nice uppercuts and his angles in which he finds, which I'm always a fan of watching when he's good with them. He's, I think, sharpened up a little bit with Bomac, and I believe he's still in his corner. I hope he's still in his corner because I think he was doing good work with him. And like I say, he's sharpened his skills. His hooks are still a little bit wild, but they're a bit more accurate now and thrown with a bit more intent and, you know, purpose behind them. The Seremeta fight, yes, he was getting caught defensively a little bit, but he put on a dominant performance nonetheless and did what he had to do against a guy in which, you know, he was levels above and had to showcase he was levels above. Now we have this fight, and like I say, it's going to be an interesting contest. It's a bit of a, you know, younger versus older generation type fight. Obviously, it's not quite the two guys. You know, maybe it's them two in their prime. I'm not entirely sure. But for a prediction, I'm going to say that Conor Benn is going to be able to win via knockout in round 4. Yes, that is a big, bold statement for me to say. But I mean, Conor Benn's not knocked out any opponent past round 5, I believe. But I think this is a fight in which he can do that. He can knock him out in the first few rounds. I think Chris Eubank Jr. will have success possibly catching Conor Benn coming in, but I don't think he's going to be able to hurt him. We'll have to wait and see, you know, if the power is there behind it. I think with the rehydration clause, he may not be as powerful as what he wants to be, Chris Eubank Jr., and I just don't necessarily know if just one singular uppercut or a couple of uppercuts or, you know, a few shots that he times him with might be able to actually rock Conor Benn enough to stop him from wanting to come forward, because I think he's going to be fighting with a lot of furiosity in these first few rounds, and I think he's going to really let it go. And, you know, obviously the first Liam Smith fight for Chris Eubank Jr., Conor Benn caused a lot of damage. Will we do so the same again? I think so, and like I say, I think he'll knock him out by KO in round 4. Thank you very much for your boxing fix, for letting me come on the channel. Big up to you, loving what you're doing on Instagram and everything. Feel free to go check me out, AXEL72 YT on Instagram, AXEL72 on YouTube. Big up to everybody. Hope you enjoy the rest of the video.
There you go. There we have it, y'all. Better than I could have said it myself. AYUB and AXEL, thank you both so very much once again for taking the time out of your day to do those videos for me. I truly appreciate you both. And hey, for the rest of you, hope you all enjoy the fight. Make sure you stay locked into the channel. The fight does come on Saturday on the Zone. Obviously, the time will vary depending on where you're located. Stay locked into the page. We'll have the times, you know, for you if you're in the US or you're UK. We'll have all those times posted for you. But if you can't watch it, we'll have all the results posted on all our social media platforms. So make sure you stay locked into the channel, and we're going to make sure that we post all the social media info for AYUB and AXEL so you can support them as well. And for me, for AYUB, for AXEL, we up out of here, y'all. Peace.